Okay. Good morning. March 21st. Numbers 30, 1 through 33, 39. And now the children of Reuben and the children of Gad had a very great multitude of livestock. And when they saw the land of Jezar, the land of Gilead, and indeed the region was a place for livestock, the children of Gad and the children of Reuben came and spoke to Moses and Eleazar the priest, and said to the leaders of the congregation, saying, Alrath, Dizon, Ezar, Nereth, Hezbollah, Eloth, Sebam, Nebo, and beyond, the country which the Lord defeated before the congregation of Israel is a land for livestock, and your servants have livestock. Therefore they said, If we have found favor in your sight, let this land be given to your servants as a possession. Do not take us over the Jordan. And Moses said to the children of Gad and to the children of Reuben, shall your brethren go to war while you sit here? Now, why will you discourage the heart of the children of Israel from going over the land which the Lord has given them? Thus your fathers did what that's what your fathers did when I sent them away from Kadesh Baran to see the land. For when they went up to the valley of Eshron, they saw the land, and they discouraged the heart of the children of Israel. So they did not go into the land which the Lord had given them. So the Lord's anger was aroused on that day, and he swore an oath, saying, Surely none of the men who came up from Egypt, from 20 years old and above, shall see the land which I swore to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, because they have not wholly followed me, except Caleb, son of Jerah, and the Kenizzite, and Joshua the son of Nun, for they have wholly followed the Lord. So the Lord's anger was aroused against Israel, and he made them wander in the wilderness 40 years, until all the generation that had done evil in the sight of the Lord was gone. And look, you have risen in your father's place, though, a brood of sinful men, to increase still more the fierce anger of the Lord against Israel. For if you turn away from following him, he will once again leave them in the wilderness, and you will destroy all these people. Then they came near him and said, We will build sheepfolds here for our livestock, and our cities for our little ones. But we ourselves will be armed, ready to go before the Lord, ready to go before the children of Israel, until we have brought them to their place, and their little ones will dwell in the fortified cities, because of the inhabitants of the land. We will not return into our homes, every one of the children of Israel, until every one of the children of Israel have received their inheritance. For we will not inherit with them on the other side of the Jordan and beyond, because of our inheritance has fallen to us on the eastern side of the Jordan. Then Moses said to them, If you do this thing, if you arm yourselves before the Lord, for the war, and all your armed men cross over the Jordan before the Lord, until he has driven out his enemies from before him, and the land is subdued before the Lord, and afterwards you may return and be blameless before the Lord, and before Israel, and before this land, and this land shall be your possession before the Lord. But if you do not do so, then take note, you have sinned against the Lord, and be sure your sin will find you out. Build cities for your little ones and folds for your sheep, and do what has proceeded out of your mouth. And the children of Gad and the children of Reuben spoke to Moses, saying, Your servants will do as my Lord commands. Our little ones and our wives and our flocks and all of our livestock will be there in the cities of Gilead. But your servants will cross over, every man armed for war, before the Lord to battle, just as my Lord says. So Moses gave the command concerning them to Eleazar the priest, to Joshua the son of Nun, and the chief fathers, and the tribes of the children of Israel. And Moses said to them, If the children of Gad and the children of Reuben cross over the Jordan with you, every man armed for battle before the Lord, and the land is subdued before you, then you shall give them the land of Gilead as a possession. But if they do not cross over with you, they shall have possession among you in the land of Canaan. Then the children of Gad and the children of Reuben answered, saying, as the Lord has said to your servants, so we will do. We will cross over armed before battle. We cross over armed before the Lord into the land of Canaan, but the possession of our inheritance shall remain with us on this side of the Jordan. So Moses gave the children of Gad and to the children of Reuben and to the half tribe of Manasseh, the son of Joseph, the kingdom of Shinar, king of the Amorites, and the kingdom of Og, king of Bashan, and the land and with the cities and its borders, the cities of the surrounding country. And the children of Gad built Dibon and Asterisk and Arab, Athro and Shapon, and Jezreel and Jobath, both Nimrah and Beth Haran, fortified cities and folds for sheep. And the children of Reuben built Heshbon and Elisah and Kilijatha, Nebo and Baal Menon, their names being changed, and Shaban, and they gave other names to the cities which they had built. And the children of Machar, the son of Manasseh, went to Gilead and took it and dispossessed the Amorites who were in it. So Moses gave Gilead to Machar, the son of Manasseh, and he dwelt in it. Also Jerah, son of Manasseh, went and took its small towns and called them Havrah Jerah. Then Nobah went and took Kenneth and its villages and called it Nobah after his own name. These are the journeys of the children of Israel who went out of the land of Egypt by their armies under the hand of Moses and Aaron. Now Moses wrote down the starting point of their journeys at the command of the Lord, and these were the journeys according to the starting point. They departed from Ramesses in the first month. On the 15th day of the first month, on the day after Passover, the children of Israel went out with boldness in the sight of all the Egyptians, for the Egyptians were burying all their firstborn, whom the Lord had killed among them. Also, on their gods, the Lord had executed judgments. Um, then the children of Israel moved from Ramesses and camped at Succoth. They departed from Succoth and camped at Ethram, which is on the edge of the wilderness. They moved from Ethram and turned back to Pi Harath, which is east of Baal Zephon, and they camped near Migdol. They departed from before Harath and passed through the midst of the sea into the wilderness, went 3 days in the wilderness of Ethram and camped at Marath. They moved from Marath and came to Eliam. At Eliam were 12 springs of water and 70 palm trees, so they camped there. They moved from Eliam and camped by the Red Sea. They moved from the Red Sea and camped by the wilderness of Sin. They journeyed from the wilderness of Sin and camped at Depok. They departed from Depok and camped at Esro. They moved from Esro and camped at Riddathum, where there was no water for the people to drink. They departed from Riddathum and camped in the wilderness of Sinai, where they moved from the wilderness of Sinai and camped at Kabroth Haran. They departed from Kabroth Haram and camped at Hezroth. They departed from Hezroth and camped at Rithram. They departed from Rithram and camped at Rithram Perez. They departed from Rithram Perez and camped at Lithon. They moved from Libnath and camped at Rizah. They camped from Rizah and camped at Kilatha. They went from Kelatha and camped at Mount Sifar. They moved from Mount Sifar and camped at Harath. They moved from Harath and camped at Makado. They moved from Makadoth and camped at Tanath. They departed from Tanath and camped at Tirah. And they moved from Tirah and camped at Mekah. They went from Mekah and camped at Hasamarah. They departed from Hasamarah and camped at Misarath. They departed from Misarath and camped at Ben Jakin. They moved from Ben Jakin and camped at Hardagid. They went from Hardagid and camped at Jubath. They moved from Jubath and camped at Iran. They departed from Iran and camped at Ezra Gibar. They moved from Ezra Gibar and camped in the wilderness of Zin, which is in Kadesh. They moved from Kadesh and camped at Mahor at the boundary of the land of Eden. Then Aaron the priest went up to Mount Hor at the commandment of the Lord and died there on the 40th year after the children of Israel had come out of the land of Egypt on the first day of the 5th month. Aaron was 123 years old when he died on Mount Hor. Wow, I butchered a lot of names. All right, Luke 4:31 through 5:11. Then he came down from Capernaum at the city of Galilee and was teaching them on the Sabbath. And there was and they were astonished at his teachings, for his words was with authority. Now in the synagogue there was a man who had a spirit of unclean demon, and he cried out in a loud voice, saying, "Let us alone. What have we to do with you, Jesus of Nazareth? Did you come to destroy us? I know who you are, the Holy One of God." But Jesus rebuked him, saying, "Be quiet and come out of him." And when the demon had thrown him in their midst, he came out of him, and did not hurt him. Then they were amazed and spoke among themselves, saying, "With a word, what a word this is! For with authority and power he commands the unclean spirits, and they come out." And every report about him went out into every place in the surrounding region. Now he arose from synagogue and entered into Simon's house. But Simon's wife's mother was sick with a high fever. And they made a request of him concerning her. So he stood over her and rebuked the fever, and it left her. And immediately she rose and served them. When the sun was setting, all those who had any that were sick with various diseases brought them to him. And he laid hands on every one of them and healed them. And demons also came out of many, crying and saying, "You are the Christ, the Son of God." And he rebuked them, did not allow them to speak, for they knew that he was the Christ. Now when it was day, he departed and went into a deserted place, and the crowd sought him and came to him, and they tried to keep him from leaving them. But he said to them, "I must preach the kingdom of God to other cities also, because for this purpose I have been sent." And he was preaching in the synagogues of Galilee. So it was, as the multitude pressed about him to hear the word of God, that he stood by the lake of Gennesaret, and he saw two boats standing in the lake, but the fishermen had gone from them and were washing their nets. Then he got into one of the boats, which was Simon's, and he asked him to put out a little ways from the land. And he sat down and taught the multitudes from the boat. When he had stopped speaking, he said to Simon, "Launch out into the deep and let your nets for a catch." But Simon answered and said to him, "Master, we have toiled all night and caught nothing. Nevertheless, at your word, I will let down the net." And when he had done this, they caught a great number of fish, and their nets were breaking. So they signaled their partner in the other boat, and they came to help them. And they came and filled both boats, so that they began to sink. When Simon Peter saw it, he fell down at Jesus' knees, saying, "Depart from me, for I am a sinful man, O Lord." For he and all who were with him were astonished at the catch of fish which they had taken. And so also were James and John, the sons of Zebedee, who were the partners with Simon. And Jesus said to Simon, "Do not be afraid. From now on you will catch men." So when they had brought their boats to the land, they forsook all and followed him. Psalm 64, 1 through 10. This is from a Psalm of David. Okay, had a glitch there. Okay. Hear my voice, O God, in my meditation. Preserve my life from fear of my enemy. Hide me from the secret plots of the wicked, for the rebellion of the workers of iniquity, who sharpen their tongues like a sword, and bend their bows to shoot their arrows, bitter words, that they may shoot in secret at the blameless. Suddenly they shoot at him and do not fear. Then they encourage themselves in an evil manner. They talk of lying snares secretly. They say, "Who will see them?" They devise iniquities. We have perfected a shrewd scheme. Both the inward thought and the heart of the man are deep. But God will shoot them with an arrow. Suddenly they will be wounded. He will make them stumble over their own tongue. All who see them shall flee away. All men shall fear and shall declare the work of God, for they shall do wisely consider his doing. The righteous shall be glad in the Lord and trust in him, and all the upright in the heart shall be glory. Proverbs 11:22. As a ring of gold in a swine's snout, so is a lovely woman who lacks discretion. All right. I'll see y'all tomorrow.